Hello everyone, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today's video is quite experimental. It involves sheet film, watercolor, and ink. I have a whole bunch of sheet film negatives that I processed that for one reason or another I don't plan on using for printing. They have scratches, they just weren't a good scene, etc. So I was thinking, back in the olden days, they had this one type called ambrotype, where it was a negative printed on glass, I believe. So if I got it wrong, I apologize. And it was displayed over a black background, which made the lights appear dark, making it seem like a positive image. I believe that's how it worked. And through kind of forum searches, things like that, I've been looking up ways to display negatives, and somebody had said something like this, where maybe paint the back of a piece of film or put it over something black and display it in that fashion. So that's the experiment today. To take our lamp black, to take our black ink, paint some swatches, and then kind of go down the line and see how it affects our image. So I'm going to quickly paint these swatches while kind of blabbing a little bit. First of all, if you have any negatives displayed in your house, let me know in the comments below. I looked online, and displaying negatives doesn't seem to be too common. However, there does seem to be different ways, either sandwiched between plexiglass, between glass itself, underneath a mat. So there are some things out there, but I don't think it's quite common. A lot of the things that come up are, why would you want to display a negative? And the other thing that comes up besides that is ways to kind of make jewelry and handbags and purses out of negatives. So people are using negatives for display purposes, but I don't know, there really doesn't seem to be a set method out there. Some things seem very common, just like watercolor, where if you were to display it, you'd want glass over it, and you wouldn't want the glass to touch the film itself, that it could stick to it, and if it needed to be removed, it would cause an issue. Very much like watercolor, where you want a mat or something that's going to raise that glass and not have the glass touching your watercolor. Then, of course, like I said, there was the ambrotype, and there was also one gentleman on I posted on Photrio, a forum. He had shared a name of another process. It's kind of like a microfilm where images were made very, very small, and that dated back to the 1800s. So obviously there's people interested in displaying the negatives. I'm going to throw this India ink on it. One thing with the India ink, I learned this mistake way too many times. Cover the top and shake, because some ink might come out of there. Of course it won't happen this time, but if you open it, then close it and do it again, it'll wind up happening. So just better be safe than sorry. You're gonna have ink everywhere. And that should be enough. I also thought about experimenting with metallic inks, watercolors, and metallic inks would work too. I think I'll try that down the line. if there's any sort of semblance of interesting results taking place. I had also thought about just black acrylic paint. I think that might help due to the flexibility of it, especially if I was to paint directly onto the negative itself. And then, of course, there were other ideas that were presented, ways to backlight the negative. I'm curious about encasing it in resin, how that would look. That being said, let's dry this off and let's see if you can see anything interesting taking place. All right, so everything's dry. I think we're at a good distance camera-wise where we could kind of go down the line, just take a look at it. This first one is lith film, where it's really thin, contrasty, and I haven't really fully played around with it yet. And I'm new to film in general, having done film photography in college and high school. This is just a different, deeper avenue that I'm exploring, so I'm considering myself new to this. So the emulsion side on this guy would be this. All right, so emulsion side, let's see how that looks. Looking through the camera itself, I'm thinking that a piece of plate glass on top will help. Let me go grab that. All right, so I need to clean this guy off, but this will help keep it flat. And if we put it underneath the next, we have that take place. So this is over our lamp black watercolor. And if I slide it down over our India ink, we do see the image. Aesthetically, I'm not sure. Let's play with one more piece of lith. Like I said, I haven't really played around with it too much and only have 2 or 3 pieces. This would be the emulsion side. And I need to take better photos and develop it better. It has an interesting feel to it. Once I have better quality prints, negatives, that might look interesting. Okay, feel a little bit positive about that one. Let's look at regular sheet film. These ones I photographed out of a pinhole camera. How I got that scratch across there, I'm not sure, but this was of a local cemetery. And of course, when I first looked at it, I was like, oh, a ghost, but it's scratching on the film. So here it is over just regular white paper. Then if we were to bring this on top of our lamp black, nothing shows through whatsoever. Honestly, nothing showing through. So the thickness of the film may play a part in this. Let's see if this guy might work. This one has some very clear spots. Okay, we got that. Slide it over. Nothing. Pretty much nothing. And I have this 120 size film. So it's about like 2 1/4 by 2 1/4. Let's see if we get anything interesting there. In person, I can see a little bit of an image, but no. Let's see. No, I don't think that'd be worth it. Just to go back to the two lith pieces, which I think the thinness and maybe the actual, I guess it's the brown of the emulsion, I don't know what you'd call that, and the high contrast, that seems to work out. That might look nice in a glass frame. At least we have some ideas. So the experiment isn't a total failure. There is some positive results taking place, but these negatives just need to take better. Okay. I do have this other piece of lith film. This is my third one that I'd taken. And you can see the image there. You can see how thin this is. I was debating making prints of this one. Okay, we're not really getting much. This would be our emulsion side. So over the white paper, not much. Over black, we do have a viewable image. We do have a viewable image. This is emulsion side up. Let me flip it over and see how that looks. I think we might have a winner. Black cardboard paper, black watercolor paper might be the next step to play around with, or painting directly onto the back of these. I think that's going to be the next step. I'm going to paint directly onto the back, and we'll see how that looks. Let me do that now. All right, so I'm going to brush some watercolor and some ink onto these two liths. I think that the emulsion side would be where I'd want to apply it, just because that's the side that would be facing the back. So I will think that at the end of the day, the better solution will be to just simply place it over dark paper or painted dark paper. You can see how it's like painting on plastic. Imagine, I've never tried the Yupo paper, but this must be exactly what Yupo is like. And I experienced this when I painted on a negative some speedball black ink for the purpose of adding highlights when I was doing the printing process. I feel like I'm not going to get a nice consistent application here. This may be where, if this was to take place, acrylic black ink, sorry, acrylic black paint would be the way to go. I don't think I'm going to even bother trying one with the speedball ink. We'll just see the best coverage we can get here. And of course my solution is just add more pigment. Let me dry this fella off. I don't think there's any need to go on to the next one. All right, so we blow dried to a interesting abstract pattern. The only thing is to flip it over, see how it looks. Well, honestly, even though the application wasn't perfect by any means, you can see the varying densities. It did result in something interesting. Let's see. And if we compare it to one that's just going to be over the white paper that we haven't painted on the back, we can then see if there's any difference. So this is the one that I enjoyed the most. Okay, so if we put this over black, and this is the one we have painted on the back, we'll look at those side by side, or vertically and horizontally. And there's results. I am quite surprised. Now, the main thing would be at this point would be how archival this is, how light fast it would be. One gentleman had said that he has a piece of lith on his window facing the sun for 5 years now with no visible changes, so this may be interesting. All right, I'm quite pleased. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me experiment with this more, and if so, what type of experiments you would like to see. Please like, subscribe, follow, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Have a great day.